Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode in the series that doesn't have a name. I'm just wrapping out with Shane Stanton. What's up, Shane?
A series with no name.
It's
How's
the
it going, dude?
nameless series.
This should have
Hey,
been a live video. I'm telling you, man. I know we're doing this recorded, but this would have played well live. People like
I
this type
know
of
I,
stuff.
I'm absolutely going to take you up on that. You said that right before we started shooting, and my brain was like, no, I can't do it live. Why would I do that? We're going to record
Oh
it.
my God, I know. It's
How
crazy. Video,
scary.
video that people watch. It's
Try
nuts.
something new.
Anyways,
Growth,
what's
man,
going on,
growth,
man?
incremental growth.
Yeah.
Hey, well, first of all, I wanted to kind of break down with you. There's a lot of recruiting going down in the market. You and I have worked at different companies together, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about recruiting as a business plan and some of the
Okay.
things you have seen in your time here and other places, and just how to be really effective with a recruiting team and managers to kind of have the best success possible.
Okay. Yeah, no, that sounds good. That actually sounds fun.
So let me just start here. So you are obviously leading the charge. We've got access to killer data. Our systems are all, easy to use, point and click. Managers have access to them.
Yeah.
How did that journey start?
Gosh, how did that journey start? So that journey that we're still on started and continues to go through a lot of failure trying to figure things out, to be candid. But mortgage, I don't know how far back you want me to go, so cut me off, if I'm going like, back to dinosaur time. But when you and I started doing this, headhunting wasn't a thing in mortgage. Like not internally, the way that it exists today at every freaking company that originators are probably tired of. And so when we first started, right? I mean, I'm sure you will attest to this. What you had was a collection of headhunters from other industries. So using headhunting techniques, not HR style techniques where it's resumes and job searches, but instead having a proactive outreaching styled approach, relationship development, value adding, problem solving, goal solutioning approach to recruiting. Right. And so we all kind of came from the outside and looked at this industry as, in retail mortgage sales, what you have is revenue drivers. Every single person that we hire is extra revenue to the organization. So it created this unique opportunity for a headhunter, right? You mean I've got open racks. I can hire as many quality people as I possibly can. And for the organizations, it allowed them to have recruiting aligned with their visions and values. Instead of going and hiring 15 different agencies, they get to hire one group, bring them into the culture, get them to really be a part of the organization's growth and understand that organization's value prop. Once that foundation was set, the journey was just went, and since that day, everything we do has been trying to figure out how to be better aligned in supporting our managers and making it as easy as humanly possible for them. And how can we maximize our return on investment of time and effort? I don't think I answered your question, but that's how it started.
No, you totally did.
In my mind.
I appreciate you breaking it down like that. And I agree. And, if I think back to those days too, what was really, different than I think exists today in the world is recruiters kind of pushed opportunities. It was like we were there to drive activity, managers managed, they led teams, they produced, much like they do today. But it was much more of a push-pull. And it seems like it's evolved to, I know here, and I'm sure it's at other companies too. I don't know that others compare like we do, just bias maybe. But it was a lot of, hey, meet this person, and they would. And then that would turn into an opportunity. And there was some math behind it, but now it's grown into there's more of a synergy and alignment and partnership. It's like managers have evolved over those years too, to get to a place where, and probably us too, it's been 15 years, where that relationship is just a lot more effective, and it's more of a kind of peer oriented relationship than a you're doing this for me relationship.
Yeah, I think that, if I was to define that component of it, that came from the simple goal of just trying to maximize results, right? Grow as much as you possibly can. When recruiting was an agency environment, meaning outside agencies, not employees of the organization, really what you're paying for is laziness. Just call it what it is, right? Like they're going to do all the work. They're going to do the prospecting. They're going to vet the candidate. They're going to deliver a candidate that is absolutely interested in talking to you about the job, whatever it is, right? Loan officer, branch manager, regional manager. And that is definitely one way of going about it. And if you don't have any time to invest into recruiting, man, how great is that? You're delivering to me a candidate. But when organizations in retail recognize the game really can't be that, because that's a very small population, right? You're kind of the needle in the haystack. Instead, the game needs to be, how can I get as many people interested in my organization, in having a relationship with us? What organizations began to stretch with was, okay, great. If you can bring me that highly interested candidate in recruiting, please do. But realistically, how can you help us establish relationships in the market? So when candidates do become interested, they're going to contact us. We're going to be in a position of success. And so with these internal groups, it kind of switched a little bit, right? In that instead of, yeah, your only job is to bring me a candidate, our jobs also became, how can we help the managers leverage what they have that we don't? Locality. They actually originate loans. They actually know the language, right? This is what they do for a living. So how can we help connect them to their markets efficiently and effectively? And now maximizing our sphere of influence. So instead of just getting that one candidate that is, packaged and easy to close, now we're getting more swings at the at-bat. And so it's been a natural evolution, right? Of just the simple goal. How do I continue to grow market share and grow and serve my community at higher levels? The natural path is going to be have more people rowing in the same direction, not just one agency on the outside giving you a special package that is a closed candidate.
Yeah, and I was on the agency side for a long time, as you know, and it's like, not that you get hot and cold on clients, but like if you're recruiting for a company and they're a client, you're doing the work, and at some point it changes, so you stop. And without an internal group to kind of carry that torch or continue the relationship development, which at the end of the day, we're marketers, right? Marketing, branding, relationship, incubation. It's just a function, but I'm with you on that. Talk to me about the evolution of branch managers as you've seen it as partners, and how their game's upped with the advent of, internal recruiting as a team and a lot of the systems and data we're using now.
I think managers, like any other sales, like any other recruiters, you have a wide array, right? There are still leaders that they want to recruit, but they're producing leaders. They got big branches. They don't have time. And so really the partnership in that is just give me a recruit if you find one, right? You've got growth leaders that understand that if they dominate their market, they have top market share. Everybody in the market knows who they are. Everybody on their team is going to win more. And those leaders are looking for something different in their recruiting partners, right? They're looking for, hey, yeah, give me the candidates that are interested, but help me identify who I should be calling, who I should be connecting to. Hey, what marketing strategies do you have? How can we brand ourselves? So it really becomes a collaborative effort based upon the manager's ultimate goal, right? If a manager truly wants to grow, they're not going to put all their eggs in the basket of a dialer, of how many person can they bring me? They're going to play in the game. And like any smart business person, they're going to leverage the tools they have around them to maximize their output. And so it's those two extremes, right? And then everything in between. I think that you had asked the evolution question. Mm-hmm. I think that as more and more organizations are bringing in recruiting internally, these leaders are having different experiences and are getting used to the partnership. Where when we first started, it wasn't that way, right? And we didn't know the best way to interact, with one another. And now more people know how to. They know how to engage. They know what buttons to pull. And so that game is changing. But I'll say that the same challenge today is the challenge that existed when you and I were doing this 20 years ago. Managers have a lot on their plate. They are leading other originators. They are, in some cases, doing their own production. They're doing their branches production. They've got to do like the list goes on and on and on, right? And so the biggest challenge is when they put on their recruiter hat, how can they put the hat on, do the recruiting activities, and get out? And I keep hitting my microphone. That's awesome. And get out with results. And technology is making that part of the game, to answer your question on technology, better. Everyone knows about the data. right? Now you're not, recruiting somebody to only find out at the end that they've only been in the business for 2 months and that they did one loan, and that's about it. You know who you're talking to. But as you know, Steve, there's technology now that is delivering recruits to managers. We found out the hard way. Managers don't want to go to CRM for recruiting. They don't want to do it, right? And so companies out there that are designing CRMs with tons of fields and query capability and this and that, you're going to get maybe 5% of you're going to get 5% of the population to use it. It's not going to happen. You need to find a easier delivery mechanism to the hiring leaders to help them decide who they're going to call today, how they're going to call today, and how they're going to disposition those calls. Technology can play a role in that. And I think it's a pretty important evolution of where our industry is going right now with that recruiting.
Yeah, I totally agree too. It's got to be easy for them. And the adoption with some of the stuff you've rolled out has been amazing. I'm sure it's ahead of what I've seen with stuff I've been involved with in the past for sure. But I think you're right. It still becomes, who do I call? What do I say? And when do I follow up versus, we've been really fortunate with retention, I think, because sometimes in the old days, it was like a manager would lose someone and feel the pain of maybe their opportunity changing income wise. So then they'd start recruiting to kind of rebuild it back up versus the consistent kind of disciplines of always recruiting a little bit so that you can add and grow and kind of either build on what you have because you're retaining it all, or have a backup plan if you do end up losing someone and not have that be, a shocker for you.
Yeah. I feel like I'm bouncing around on thoughts here. I'm supposed to have like a coherent story for you, but you said we're just talking. So going back to a comment that you made, and then I'm going to go to another comment. You had said it's still making who to contact, making contact, and then telling your story, right? The way that managers need to be thinking about recruiting for themselves and what a company is providing them, or a partner is providing them, whatever it is that first part needs to be mindless. It needs to be like, I don't need to think about it. Who am I going to call and how am I going to call? That's just got to be done. Because where leaders need to spend their time is the back half of what you had said. What are they saying? How are they telling the story? And how are they connecting to the community? That first part, historically, we as organizations have made it too difficult for managers to do it, right? It used to be Excel spreadsheets and, there's no way of recording who you've called, right? And so now it's this back and forth. And then again, like I just said, it's CRM. Okay, well, hey, it's easy, just go into CRM. Well, okay, let's talk about the steps for that. I got to turn on my computer. I got to log into the CRM. I've got to go to the ecosystem for my recruiting. I got to run a query to find it. Then when I'm done making the call, notes and that. And when recruiting is such a small part of what they do, it's just too complicated. And so the biggest thing that a manager for their own activities that they need to be thinking about is how to remove that so they can really focus on what they want to focus on. And that's messaging and relationship. That's the fun part, right? When you're actually talking to people and connecting with them. And then the other thing I want to add that you kind of made me think about is that's really where the internal partnership has really evolved this thing, in having recruiters inside of an organization, because you're right. Recruiting used to be a fire drill, right? Oh my God, I got an empty desk. I got to go fill it. Or, oh my gosh, I lost somebody and I need to get that volume back. And so let's go recruit. And when you have internal headhunters that are paid to grow an organization, that is it. They're going to teach their managers tactics that selfishly are going to feed their goals. Right? Meaning I'm not going to let my partner off the hook, my manager, my branch manager, or regional manager off the hook and not recruit, because if they don't recruit, neither do I. And I don't win. And that's been right. And that's been a win for these managers, because you kind of, recruiting is a journey. It's not an event. Like I can't make a single call and get a hire. It doesn't work that way. And if you truly want to continue to grow, you don't recruit when you have that bad day and lose that LO. You're doing it every single day, every single week. And when opportunities are available, if you've stayed consistent, you'll win. And having an internal team that's helping you strategically, when do you stay in touch? How do you stay in touch? We'll stay in touch for you. I think it's helped make some certain managers stronger at true headhunting and relationship development, because we're an accountability partner. And so I think managers have gotten better at that as well, for sure.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, because it seems to me too, like, you got to have thick skin because there's a lot of rejection out there. And I think one of the obstacles with managers historically was just not wanting to deal with rejection, which just happens in recruiting because people aren't always wanting the call or open to change. And that seems like a no, but it's just a no for now. And the other thing is just, I think the emotion around recruiting. And when you have two people get together, just talking about the industry and building relationship versus like, hey, come start with me in the next 30 days. Like, I think they actually have fun doing it because it's like higher level
But that's that mind.
conversation. It's totally different.
But that's that mind shift that you just said, right? It's going from, oh my God, I got an empty seat, I got to go fill it, right? And so now their calls are, hey, Bob, yeah, I'm looking to hire somebody. Are you interested? No. Are you interested? No. And so now it becomes a rejection game because they're just trying to find someone to say yes to go fill that seat. Where instead, if you view, hey, look, I'm going to get to know every loan officer in my market, every producer in my market. I'm going to have a relationship with them. The calls become way less pressure because if you stay consistent, one of those people are going to say, God, Steve, it's so good you called me today because, man, I'm having a bad month. I'm actually interested in chatting. And it relieves the pressure of this rejection because, well, everyone likes to have, positive relationships that are value added. I'll talk to anybody about that. And so your managers aren't getting rejected as often because, like you said, it's not a no, it's just a no for today.
Yeah.
And so that's a big mind shift, for a lot of people.
Hey, well, rounding it out, where do you see it going from here? I mean, it feels like the whole industry is recruiting. Everybody's got access to data. Some companies are doing a better job than others, but
yeah,
where's the innovation in the future in recruiting and partnership and just these growth strategies?
I think it's going to vary by company. And I think it's going to vary by personality of company, and platform of company. And so nothing I'm about to say is a negative on any company. It's all different strategies. We're seeing organizations use data to identify how much volume an originator does. That's the data you're talking about, right? And what kind of data. There are organizations that are taking that data and instead of using it to establish relationships, like, hey, Steve, I see that you do a lot of jumbo business. Do you ever talk about, kind of what's available out there, strategies that's going on, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I'd love to share, a shared experience on, second home lending, or, hey, Steve, I saw that something that we'd love to do, congratulating people. Steve, I see that you're top in your county, congratulations, or through Mellow U, giving people insights into their market. That's one way, right? But what I'm seeing some organizations do is go the exact opposite and just say, Steve, I see that you do X amount of volume. I would like to write you this check. And that's a spam email. Like that is just a blast, cut, paste, insert check number. Will you come join me? Two completely different uses of the data, right? Like one is just saying, I don't get, you got it. And so I think that what the data enables companies to do is to decide on the path that they want to take. And each company is going to take their own path. And margins have helped, right? But there are organizations out there that are using the data to completely skip everything you and I have talked about, relationships and development, and gone away from scarcity creates value, right? I'm not trying to hire everybody. I'm trying to hire the right people. Instead, we're trying to hire everyone, just buy the market. We'll see if that stands. But there's organizations doing that. And then there's organizations doing what I think loanDepot prides itself on. I don't want to hire every human being. What I want to do is I want to have a relationship with as many high quality people as I can. And if we identify that we can solve a problem for them or maybe not solve a problem, but help them reach goals that they just haven't been able to reach because we happen to be better aligned, using the data to establish relationships and hire the right people at greater scale. I think our methodology works long-term. I think that the organizations that are using the data to use a check is very similar to a retail store putting up a sign that says 50% off today, or buy one, get one free today. That's tchotchke. That's not a business plan. That's a marketing tactic trying to devalue what your value prop is, but to bring traffic in the door. So I think that organization.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, please go.
I was going to say, it's kind of like two people showing up to get married that have never met each other and just getting married, rather than talk about all the important things and make sure that there are, differences that will create value for that person and ultimately create the right relationship going forward.
Well, it's like technology, so like think of email, right? When email was designed, it was emailed to be a one-on-one communication, right? It was not, they did not think, hey, mass communication. They thought it's just a better way of sending letters, right? And eventually what happened is some organizations began to use the power of email to strengthen relationships and value-added communication, right? And so in our business, like milestone emails and congratulatory emails or happy birthday emails. But then there are still companies today that the Prince of Egypt is offering me, his fortune if I just click on a link, and that's spam, right? And it's the same weapon, it's the same tool, completely different usage, completely different conversion. But who's to say that the Prince of Egypt is wrong? Because clearly it's working because they're still sending the damn emails, right? And so data is, again, it's not a where does it go, and this is the singular answer. A tool in the hands of good will do something in the hands of evil, if you will. And so I think, though, that the companies that are longstanding are going to be reputable, are going to be value-based. You're going to see data combined with other data sources that a lot of people don't know exist to create true value, relationship, and communication, one-on-one and at scale, right? Again, I referenced it earlier, MeloU, right? It's a website that we were able to personalize for every single producer in the country that gives them insights into their own business they didn't have, their own market they didn't have, their own rankings they didn't have, and other value-added content. That's how we choose to use it. Again, other companies are using it to say, hey, click here and I'll give you a check.
You made me think of one other topic that I think is really important, and I don't want to go without talking about it, but the whole concept of a culture of recruiting in an organization versus, it being kind of microcultures in certain areas with people that happen to be better at it than others. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like I walked into a company that actually had a lot of awareness about recruiting and a culture around it. Like, how has that played into what you've been able to do and ultimately the success of our group and our partnerships with our managers versus what you see going on in the industry with companies that maybe don't have a culture of recruiting?
Yeah. So Steve, you actually have coaching on the side for yourself that you do, right? You do business coaching.
Yep.
And they have a certain culture and energy about them. You chose that company, that individual to coach you based upon who they are and them jiving with you, right? And I'd imagine that type of culture exists, with every one of their clients. Would you agree? It probably different, but yep. Okay. Can I ask you, within that coaching though, are there things that you owe them as feedback, like accountability? Are there things that they are holding you accountable to doing that you're giving them a response back on?
Absolutely.
Right. That same is true with any other coaching organization in the mortgage industry, the core, right? The core has its own culture, its own beliefs, but what helps drive it is that there's a platform in place that they've built that creates activity and accountability. At the root of any culture for anything, you have to have an actual platform. There has to be a similar place that everyone goes to do the same type of actions that have some type of measurement and accountability to it. Without that, it is very difficult to actually establish a culture, because what ends up happening is if you don't give a place for everyone to go to and a common ground for everyone to talk about, you get on these calls and you have these conversations, and then everyone interprets it their own way and then goes and does their own damn thing. Yeah. That was the problem. You mentioned the microcultures, right? That was the issue that we had 18 years ago, right? We said the same thing, but then the group in Florida would go do their own thing, and the group in the Northwest would go do their own thing, and blah, 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 blah. And it was very, very hard to effectuate change and innovation because everyone was doing their own stuff. And going back to what you had said, that is where loanDepot and other organizations investing in actual platforms and then driving activity to that platform that can then have accountability and then have measurement it gives you that tool that everyone can hold, right? And now it's up to the organization to say, hey, do you want to swing this hammer for good, or do you want to swing this hammer for evil? And so why you walked into it is, we are, as I think as an organization, this video, Steve, I don't know if it's a brag piece or if it's just a shoot the crap and give people thoughts, but this is gonna be a bit braggy. This is where loanDepot truly investing into a business intelligence, data science, and technological platform has, while all that sounds techie and propeller headish and engineerish, has gone and enabled us to have a culture, a place, and a language that we can all speak the same. Yeah. So that's why you walked into it.
Yeah. As you say that, though, it's like, so it makes such perfect sense. And it is totally different than an answer. Like, not like I was expecting an answer, but that wasn't what I was expecting to hear. And it is the easiest definition, really, who you are and how you do what you do around a system that everybody can kind of get behind and jump into, or not.
Well, and here's the parallel, right? I mean, how many times have you and I been in a room where it's like a like Mastermind in Vegas, or it's a motivational speaker that we have as a special guest, and this person talks and they just get you fired up, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, that was amazing. I'm going to be a different human being after that. And then you go home and you're not a different human being. You do nothing different. You know, you had that, like, that juju going on for like 24 hours. And that's because that special speaker that came in that makes you feel really good about yourself didn't give you a platform, and they didn't give you accountability, and there's no one following up with you on it, right? And if a Tony Robbins-esque type person can't effectuate change through just talking, then we all have to recognize that if we truly want a culture of recruiting, we need to develop a platform that we all go to, we all say the same language, and has accountability of partnership, peer partnership, leadership partnership, whatever it is, somebody that actually is giving me something I have to do, that I have to report on, or it's very difficult to use words to create culture. That's my thoughts on recruiting.
I love it. I appreciate you, dude. It's awesome working with you. And again, I think every company has the same opportunity to recruit. How they incorporate recruiting into it, how managers partner, how it's set up internally is just so different at every company. But I know, and you know, through the results on a monthly basis or weekly basis with activity, I mean, this group is rocking and hungry for more managers to help partner with and build as we kind of continue to execute the growth strategy. So
yeah, it's a very fortunate place, right? We got it at a cross section right now that if you're a hiring manager looking to grow your branch, your area, your region, we're going to expose you to a platform that is, like, you know, going to identify the best and brightest candidates in your market, partner with somebody that's going to help you establish relationships with all those people, market you better, help you take your actions quicker and faster, and ultimately have a value proposition behind it that is truly adding value to people. We're pretty damn lucky. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Drop the mic.
Yeah. So thank you, homie. This was fun. We should do it live next time.
Yeah, actually, all right, we'll do it live next time. Dude, totally dig you. Appreciate all you do. And Facebook Live 2 weeks from now, Shane and I.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All
Thanks,
right,
bud.
later, Shane. Thanks, man.
Take care.